There are people on the identity that say the most important thing that we have is our identity. It is more important than our nationality. It's even maybe more important than our humanity, for all I know. I can't really understand these people, but they believe that the highest title you can have is your pronoun. There are other people, myself included, that thinks the highest title that you can have is your citizen. Well, thank you and for listening or viewing in. I want to take a few minutes to have a little bit more of a serious conversation, an internal conversation about politics on our side of the equation. I've long believed that being a Democrat means that you're part of a coalition, and that in a coalition partners have to go out of their way to try to incorporate and get along with what other people say. And that's a way that we build a successful party, we build a successful governing party, is to understand the coalitions in a party. We had a truly less than satisfying 2024 election. And the hope of some people, myself included, that the idea that we just lost election would like drill into the Democratic Party and its various members of its coalition, that we need to be more mindful and come up with more relevant, more direct arguments to make to the American people. You can see a piece that posted today on the New York Times. And I was kind of optimistic that this, to take a line out of a documentary, this winning is everything stupid was going to take hold to Democrats and all across the country, and particularly in Washington. Then I got a bunch of texts. There is an outfit in Washington called American Voices. I have tried to call them to get a comment. Of course, they called me back. Not that important, I'm sure. And they had a conference was held on like April 7th in Washington, D.C. And there was the usual conference agenda. There was a panel on this and a panel on that. And if you look at American Voices, the sponsors of this organization, which is the best that I could determine, I don't know what the fuck they are, I don't know anybody has anything to do with it, but fashions itself as an umbrella group for progressive or democratic leaning organizations, a place where people of kind of common beliefs can come and exchange ideas and be part of something, which is okay. That's nothing wrong with that. And they love words like community and unity and that kind of stuff. Great, I'm all for that. And so they brought in all of these people, and it was a little bit like inviting all different people, different interest groups, consultants, NGOs, I don't know, whatever, whoever like wanted to pay to get in, you'd get in and you'd have this thing. And so who knows? Maybe there's some ideas there. Maybe we should listen. Maybe there's people that have to say something. It might have been the stupidest fucking thing I've ever seen in my life. I am told reliably, I asked for a comment, that when you walked in, there were 12 different bowls. I want you to understand this, with different colored and different campaign buttons, like New Deal is for me. I like Ike, Nixon's, I don't know. And you could pick the color and the pronoun of your choice. Now, we just went through this. All right. The American people told us in no uncertain terms that they don't really like identity politics. And the people, they're a real difference in the Democratic Party. There are people on the identity that say the most important thing that we have is our identity. It is more important than our nationality. It's even maybe more important than our humanity, for all I know. I can't really understand these people. But they believe that the highest title you can have is your pronoun. There are other people, myself included, that thinks the highest title that you can have is you're a citizen. Right? They believe that they are the wave of the future, that people like me are old, antiquated, stuffy, stuck in the, I don't know, 50s, 90s, some fucking place back in the past, and that we don't understand the possibilities of progressive governance. And they believe, and they've said it multiple times, that there are tens of millions of sleeper people out in the country that are just waiting for the true progressive argument to be activated at the sound of the trumpet of real left-wing identity uh, politics. That the problem with the Democratic Party is that it is too influenced by older corporatists compromising internationalists. I really can't tell you every word that you can think of, and every time and everybody is old and is unable to see the future as clearly as they are able to see it. Uh, a lot of people I know, most of them are elected officials. Yes, elected officials that don't believe this, don't run on it and try to run away from it and say this is stupid. This is costing us more. Their argument was always you had to deal with these people because they had the energy, they had the youth, they had the donor base. This is who we tagged on to. And they were part of the urban chic, the cool, the people that were going to determine the real future of not only the Democratic Party, but the country and humanity. And that they were reimagining things. Of course, to me, the only thing they've reimagined is how to go in the ditch. You're not doing very well in New York City. Can I tell you that? Andrew is probably going to win. And the progressive future, urban future, is not doing very well. You're not doing very well in San Francisco. Got a new mayor. Seems from, I don't know the gentleman, but he seems to be very pro San Francisco. He seems to be doing a good job. Thank God, one of the great, not cities in the United States, but city of the world, is coming back after what many people believe, and I would certainly be inclined to agree with him, that progressive governance has run the city of San Francisco, not in the Bay, but in the Pacific Ocean. But thank God, it's coming back. So and of course, we are united in something, is we both think that Trump in particular, but Republicans mostly in general, are contemptuous people that have terrible ideas that have been proven wrong time and time again. And so how does the progressive urban identity left live in the same universe as the pragmatic governing left of center people? Most of them happen to be elected officials. And maybe the answer is we can't. All right, I'm suggesting that maybe after I saw what happened on April 7th with American Voices, after, in my opinion, which was just devastating and to somewhat humiliating defeat, and particularly unnecessary defeat that we had. And in my view, I'm certainly open to have, people can call me back. I'd be glad to interview you. That your wildly naive and impractical worldview is not consistent with electoral majorities. So maybe we need to have a schism. Maybe you got plenty different justice Party, the Working Families Party, the Socialist Party. The only thing I'd ask is just don't use the word Democratic in any title that you have, because most Democrats that I know that are running for office don't want your name, don't want you to be part of the deal. Yeah, they would, sure, they would be glad to take your votes. Who wouldn't? Everybody wants to get as many votes as they can. Maybe you come up with your own name. And by the way, nothing against, after the election, can sit down and do like is done in parliamentary governments or governments around the world. You sit down and you say, okay, we want to be part of a governing majority, and we have these things that we want you to do to bring us in, and we have negotiations, and we figure a way that we can live with different parties, different titles, but under the same general philosophical roof. As I've always said, been very clear that most of the things that the faculty lounge or the Identity Left wants, 85% of them I want to. We'd like to expand opportunity for people. We'd like to expand people that have health care. We'd like to do more to help young voters. We think that environmental problems are totally crushing that we face. We want solutions there. We think income inequality is a terrible thing, and we've got to do certain things to address it. Like, okay, we can raise taxes on incomes over $400,000 a year, raise the minimum wage. These are things that we can work on. I don't think we can work together on pronoun politics. I don't. I think that you're not. This election did not teach you how damaging that is. I don't think there's anything that I can tell you. And you say this guy is stuck in another century, not another decade, and he represents nothing to do with the future of our movement. I can accept that. You're not really going to hurt my feelings. So maybe we could have a kind of amicable split here, and we'll go to post in 2026, because you don't ever run. They never run against a Republican. Okay, all they do is run against other Democrats. I don't quite understand why you're so anxious to have the word Democrat in the description of what you do, but maybe we can have a amicable split here. And you go your way, and we go our way, and after the election, we come together and see how much common ground we can find. I know this is a heresy. It's always been, the Democratic Party has always been the coalition. People said we have to work hard in the coalition. God, I remember coming up, you had the Southern segregationist Democrats, you had the more progressive Democrats. You tried to keep a coalition together. You had the anti-war Democrats. You had some other. You had different groups, and somehow or another, the party has tried to, at some level, maintain its identity and its name. Maybe it's just not worth it anymore. Maybe I'm not worth your trouble, and the people like me are all going to be dead before long, and you'll be in complete command. You don't have to deal with a bunch of old fogies. But maybe what I think is that what you are proposing, with your stupid fucking buttons with jackass pronouns on it, is something that no one in the country really wants. And in fact, it turns people off and costs us votes. But maybe the best thing for us to do is to shake hands and look each other in the eye and say, let's, after we defeat the Republicans, we'll come together and cut some kind of deal where we can live, at least not under the same roof. Maybe we can live in the same zip code. But I don't see any evidence that the people that run, quote, progressive Washington, unquote, if you want to take I don't know who's more useless, progressive Washington or NPR. I don't know if there's any difference between the two, but maybe it's time that we go our separate ways and meet again after the election. I don't know, but it's something that's worth talking about. It's certainly something that's worth considering. So I'll be watching things as we go forward, and I want to tell all my identity politics friends I actually agree with a lot of the things that you want to. I don't think that you think politics is about changing dictionaries. I think it's about changing laws and changing lives, and I'm probably not going to change my mind. Thank y'all very much.